Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
Welcome back to the Monster Matchup, the show where you get to know your foe from head to toe. This one is a few weeks later than anticipated, but that is just how the cookie crumbled. While I was away, I was working my way through Master Rank stuff, going through the guiding lands, or the grinding lands, if you will, and I was trying to get some layered armor pieces so I can embrace Trash Knight with high-end armor. But this doesn't change the color like it should. It's not the same. I know I could probably mod it in, but it's just not the same, you know? So I'm just gonna wear my progress in the game so far.
Gods, I'm beautiful.
Today's subject on the monster matchup, Kushala Daora. Daora? Aura. Kushala is the next installment of Ye Olde Elder Dragon Jam, and the one I was looking forward to the least. Okay, maybe that's not entirely true, but this one just, it makes me a wee bit angry. Aesthetically and conceptually, it's cool. Metal Dragon? Hell yeah. Master of Winds? Hell yeah. In reality,
my disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
But what makes Kush Daddy the way it is? What makes it so that when you're trying to advance as a hunter and enjoy yourself, he just pulls up and says,
"Oh, I don't think so."
Let's take a look-see. And hopefully I don't make this coverage too long-winded.
God damn it! 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 God!
3, 2, 1, begin! Kushala no Mora is the tornado factory for both the Elder's Recess and the Ancient Forest, usually by Camps 8 and 11 respectively. Like a few other Elders, it won't attack you off the bat, which is just enough time to go back to camp and find something else to do. But if you have to fight it, you're gonna have to get ready for a lot of gusts. Dora the Explorer's fighting capabilities include, but are not limited to, prancing forward, jumping forward, short range Huff and Puff, long range Huff and Puff, aerial triple Huff and Puff, and the arsenal at hand here consists of tornadoes and jets of air. Kushala isn't really as difficult as it is annoying, and like a vacuum purchased off of Wish, it doesn't suck. It blows. It can also be hard to tell exactly where or how it's gonna strike amidst all this air. The jets of air have different effects depending on what kind Kushala throws at you. The supercharged blast has a very wide range, so when you see it winding up, make sure to keep your distance from the direction the dragon's facing, as to avoid the deceptively large radius. There's actually a hitbox for a direct impact, and one that stretches out further for wind effects. Other air jets will create a smaller whirlwind with similar properties to that of the large pillars of dragon wind. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Kush Daddy is also capable of making some of his wind obstructions move around.
What an asshole!
And that's what makes this monster a bit of a brick wall for some people. But in reality, this thing's just blowing smoke up your bums. Like Mysterio, it gives the illusion of a hard fight, but in the typical hunter fashion, if you prepare, you will prevail. And to do that, we have to take a look at Windy City's weaknesses. Now comes the topic that I ended up doing some field testing on. I wasn't able to get every inch of research on it, but hopefully it'll clear things up when containing the crowd control Kushala's cranking out. Windproof and nullify wind pressure. The first response one might think when looking at windproof is, oh, well, this will keep me from being blown around everywhere from that metal dragon, right?
Of course!
Really?
No.
I know it will help with some aspects of the fight with a high enough level into it, but you probably won't see any significant changes until Windproof level 3, where it negates minor wind pressure. Windproof levels 4 and 5 would probably show some kind of difference, but to be honest, I don't personally have anything to get me to Windproof level 5. And really, at that point, you might want to look into other skills and means of easing the fight. Generally, Windproof can help with the gusts of wind that monsters make from their wings or moving around that blow you back. It's not a terrible choice, and Windproof is something you can try using if you have it. If not, don't sweat it. It's not that big a deal. So this is some research that I did after the original recording and documentation of stuff where the little dot was in the corner. So I was just looking a little bit more into the windproof. I currently have level 3 equipped in this footage here. As you can see, if you get close enough to Kushala with the wind aura, it doesn't exactly negate it, really. It's still there. And when it comes to the tornadoes that Kushala makes, it doesn't really do anything. It's not raged right now. You can see it's not enraged. This is just a standard tornado, and it doesn't really help. So to be honest, if you don't have windproof, don't really worry about it. There's other stuff you could do. Now, I can vouch for my brothers and sisters of the Hunting Horn Army. All 5 of us. So for the Hunting Horn, there are actually 2 melodies that help with battling Windy Boy. Wind pressure negated, and all wind pressure negated.
I'm abbreviating these so I don't have to keep saying the same 3 or 4 words over and over again.
WPN allows hunters to approach Kushala without being blown away, and also lets you go through the outer parts of tornadoes without being blown back. None of this getting caught in the wall and not being able to move and then getting hit by Kushala jazz. So generally, it is a useful melody. However, when the monster equivalent of the metal bagpipes begins to rage, the winds from his powers actually intensify. And when this happens, WPN is no longer effective in these 2 aspects. And then at that point, Kushala just kind of flies 200 feet away and then taunts you from afar.
Fuck you!
Now, a WPN, on the other hand, looks back at Kushala and just kind of goes,
Fuck you!
A WPN is capable of giving you that resistance even when Kushala is raging. Now, the only thing you can't really do is take a direct hit from a jet or end up directly at the center of a tornado and not have any consequences. If you take a direct hit from a jet, you're taking damage and you're being sent flying. If you go into the center of a tornado, you're taking damage and you're going to be sent flying. Now, I'm aware that there are certain exceptions that I might not have mentioned in terms of assisting with this fight, but that just kind of goes to show that there's a lot you can do to circumvent these abilities. These are just a few things to help. One thing in particular that can also help is the Rock Steady Mantle, which grants you the same resistance AWPN gives you against winds. It even takes it up a notch by allowing you to walk through the center of tornadoes. But you're still gonna take some damage when you go through that, so maybe don't do that part. And if this isn't your first rodeo with this monster, Kushala's armor set also provides Nullify Wind Pressure, which has the same properties of AWPN. And if you don't have any of these things, no melody, rock steady, or for anything else, Elder Seal can still come in and save the day by helping dissipate the wind aura around Dora. Also, just a heads up, when the whirlwinds are near these piles of crystals, the piles will burst out once in a while and it's capable of stunning you. In fact, when Kushala uses any ability near it, it can do the same thing, so just watch out for those. Stun resistance can help with those instances where you get hit by wind. Even if it's just level 1 or 2, it could definitely help you out. Now, the last issue one can come across in this fight is, well, now I know my way around the wind, I know how to try and dissipate the aura here, but what if Kushala is in the air? Well, in that case, channeling your inner flashbang is a very good option. Just make sure you don't flash the monster while it's in a tornado, or else you and your teammates might not be able to reach it without being blown back. Keep in mind the diminishing returns of flash pods, and only use them when you have a good opening. I believe Arch-Tempered Kush Daddy has a limit to how many times you can use it, and Master Rank Kush Daddy doesn't fall down and get stunned like High Rank does. It just kind of sits up almost right away. Although it does get blinded momentarily. And if you spam flash pods enough, he just kind of tells you to stop flickering the flashlight in his face. But overall, flash pods are helpful. Do bring. So initially, the strategy for KD was to flash him like a man in a trench coat. But that was before the Clutch Claw Nation attack. Clutch Claw is very helpful in making contact with this thing and softening its metallic skin. Of course, mind the wind aura and the attacks the monster might be in the middle of. And eventually, after beating on the living leaf blower long enough, it'll fly to the highest point of the area and rest. This is where everything is thrown at you at once. But at that point, it is Daddy-O's last gambit, and it's time to crack this thing open like an egg and serve it with other breakfast items. And to crack this egg, we have to take a look at its weak points. The head front legs, and tail are all weak points, with the head and wings being breakable, and the tail severable.
Did somebody say head trauma?
Element weaknesses. I mean, you really got like two options. Fire, surprise, surprise, is back at the bottom. Probably gonna be there for a bit on the show, but it'll bounce back in time. Ice just doesn't work, and you unfortunately cannot soak the metal. Now, Rusted Kushala is a thing, but Capcom knew there was only enough space for one rusty creature, and they left that space open for me. In this case, Thunder is going to be the most effective element, with dragon damage coming in as a close second. Ailment weaknesses. Looking a little bit better in this department. You can either douse the thing in poison, or blow it to smithereens with blast for the best results. Stun might be 2 stars, but if you're conking Kushala on the head already, it's more than enough to KO it multiple times. Sleep and paralysis are less effective, but still possible. And that just about sums it up for Kushala. It can be a bit grating, even for a seasoned hunter, but once you know what you're getting yourself into, it makes the struggle a bit more tolerable. But once I get the armor pieces I need, I'll probably pass on this thing unless I absolutely have to fight it.
Because it's just really annoying.
Final verdict?
Blow me.
Next time, we're gonna heat things up a little bit.